Hey, good people. Happy Saturday to everyone. Here we are. I know y'all was, let me see. No, we're good. We're on good time. 4:01. So we are ready. I'm super excited, y'all. I'm so excited. It's a little bit of a gloomy day today, but I think I got enough sunshine and light on the inside to kind of like brighten this day up a little bit. And hopefully it'll be contagious and it'll brighten your day up too. So I'm excited because this is one of my favorite topics, right? Over the last, I don't know, a few weeks since I made this whole decision that this is what was going to be my reality for this pregnancy. But before I even get into that, before I even jump into the topic, let me just start by introducing myself, okay? I'm April Kelly. I'm the CEO of Modern Mom Fix, which is basically a platform that is for working moms who are juggling family, business, and everyday life, right? Created it because I really just wanted to find the crazy moms out there that are like me, that are doing it all, right? That are literally day to day taking care of home, taking care of family, taking care of husband or partner, taking care of themselves, taking care of business, doing it all, right? And I also wanted to create a safe space for us to come together, to rally together, to support each other, to cheer each other on, to vent, right? To share what we know, to share what we want to know so that we can help each other grow, all of that good stuff. So that's what Modern Mom Fix is all about. We have a free community over on Facebook. So we want you to go on over. Go on over to the free community. Just search Modern Mom Fix. And it's like a couple of questions that you got to answer just to make sure you're a real person. And then we'll invite you all into the family. You can also go to modernmomfix.com. Let me put it on the screen for you. Let me make it real easy for you. Let's see. Here we go. Modernmomfix.com. And you can get a peek into my perspective of life. I have a few blogs that I've written. So just a lot of good stuff that will help you on your journey to wholeness as a working mom. So anyway, without further ado, I'm so excited to talk about the topic of the day, which is, first of all, meet my doula. So we'll be talking about all things doula, all things pregnancy, all things lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. And I have a very special person with me today who I'm going to share with you just this once. No, I'm kidding. But her name is Angel Whitehurst, and I met her. I think it's been about a year now. It might have been about a year, but I met her a while ago and just kind of fell in love with her energy. You know, she was a person that was like caught my attention, like, I need to know more about her. And so we connected over time, started to get to know each other. She's been super supportive of things that I've been doing. And so she also not too long ago started her doula business. Like officially, she's been learning about this for a while, but she officially went on and took the leap to start her business, and she's my doula, and I'm so excited. It's so crazy because I literally, the way that happened, and I'll get into more detail later, but I woke up like, I don't even know, maybe it was like around 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just randomly out of my sleep, grab my phone and start scrolling on social media. Y'all know how we do. And I had saw that like not too long before I jumped on social media, she posted that she is starting her doula business. And I was like, you know what? Perfect timing, divine timing. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. Let's see. She is ready. Hey, Angel girl. We are excited. Angel, let me make sure we are live in all the right places real quick. That's what I didn't do. So let me make sure I see us on my page and on YouTube. Okay, yep, I see us on my page. I'm gonna share that out real quick to some groups. And while I'm doing that, Angel, I'm gonna pass the microphone over to you, the virtual microphone, so you can introduce yourself, a little bit about who you are, what you do, a little bit of the why. You don't got to get too deep into it just yet, but just a little quick intro so people can know like why you're qualified to have this conversation with me today, because I know you are, but let the people know who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Angel Whitehurst, also known as the Divine Doula. That's the name of my doula business. I wanted to be a doula after I gave birth to my daughter unassisted at home with my husband. And after that experience, I wanted to really provide a space for other women to experience that as well, because it really was life changing and it was really beautiful. And from there, I just started posting information. I made my page. I got all the paperwork right as far as my business. And I just been kind of just putting myself out there just to work with different women, even as help, even if they don't hire me as a doula. I always answer questions in my inbox. And I'm just really here to help and empower women.
Yes, and I love it because that falls right in line with my mission too. Like, there's so many similarities that stand out to me about you as a person, about what you stand for, about what you're doing, about your business. And so that's why I'm just like, you know me, I'm all like, I love you, Angel. But yeah, so she is a doula and she's my doula, and I'm excited about that because it's something that I've wanted to do for a while now. Y'all gotta excuse my lighting because it's not as cute as Angels, but we're working with something, okay? But it's something I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm like, my husband has always kind of been on edge about it because he's like, he's not really, or he wasn't really educated on it, so he didn't feel like that was the safest route to go. And so we have been getting him gradually on board with the idea. And now he's all open for it, but he's just like, I just want to make sure I'm well educated on the process and what to expect and how to support you during that time. And so I think it was super helpful that Angel helped me with that conversation with him because I was like, Angel, what do I tell him? Because, I'm learning. I'm learning too. But I'm just super excited about the journey. But I want to ask you a little bit more, Angel, about your experience. I know you have two beautiful daughters and you had two very different experiences. So can you walk us through the experiences that you had with your oldest in comparison to your youngest, and the differences and the things that stood out to you most, and what you liked and maybe disliked about each, I guess?
Sure. So my oldest daughter, her name's Brianna. She's 13 now. And I got pregnant with her when I was 20 years old. I had her at 21. I didn't know anything about anything. So, also, I think everyone knows, I'm vegan. So with the first pregnancy, I wasn't. That was before I started my whole journey, and the pregnancy altogether was different. Like, I didn't feel good. I felt like, how a lot of women feel.
Mm-hmm.
This is torture. Oh, I can't wait to
Mm-hmm.
have the baby. My
Mm-hmm.
hips hurt, and it just it
Yeah.
just wasn't a very good experience. And as far as the actual birth, I went into labor with both my pregnancies at 38 weeks. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's just my time. And my water broke first with both of them. So
Mm-hmm.
when I first got into labor with Brianna, I called my grandma and she told me, go straight to the hospital, straight to the hospital. But
Mm-hmm.
when your water breaks and you go to the hospital, they automatically keep you there. So even though I
Yep.
was just in the beginning stages of labor, but they kept me there because my water was broken. And
Mm-hmm.
I stayed in the bed. They did the IV. They did, they put me in the bed. I didn't walk around any. I stayed in the bed, and the labor was just super slow. It started off like contractions 30 minutes apart, and it was like that for a long time. I was in labor 25 hours total, and I was pushing for like 3 hours, and they gave me Pitocin, which they say is supposed to speed up the process, but really it made the contractions more hurtful, like more unbearable, and they were so back to
Yep.
back towards the end that
Yep.
I had to get the epidural. So I just feel like now looking back, the whole situation was just a recipe for for prolonged labor, like
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
you should be walking around. Like, I see why I was pushing for 3 hours with her. She wasn't coming down quickly, and it was because she didn't get a chance to come down the birth canal because I was laying down and sitting in the bed the
Mm-hmm.
whole time. So she didn't really make her way,
Yeah.
down. And the Pitocin, and then once they gave me the epidural, I couldn't feel anything. So you can't even feel the pushing. You can't feel that bearing down
Right.
feeling. You can't
And
feel
so
anything.
we connected over time. Uh-oh. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So, so yeah, So after that epidural, I was pushing for 3 hours. She finally came out. They immediately cut the cord before the placenta was even out. They took her off to the side. They did this and that. I didn't ask any questions. She didn't go straight on my chest like they're supposed to. We didn't get the skin to skin. I didn't know any better, and I listened to them. And it was like a traumatic experience. Like, I feel like when I used to talk about my births, I used to be like, oh, I'm never doing it again. I used to say I'm never having any more children, and then years passed, Brianna grew up, and I didn't want any more children. And then once I got onto my journey, of my spiritual journey, that's when everything changed. That's when I started, looking into more things, researching. That's when I became vegan. That's when a lot of things changed for me. So then once I met my husband, we were together about a year and a half. I find out I'm pregnant with Kimani. And I was kind of nervous because Brianna was already 11 years old. So that was a long time, and I didn't plan on doing it again, but I knew that I wanted to have, a vegan pregnancy. I had knew, about all the things about, like as far as natural birth. I had already looked into all that. I had already told people, well, if I do it again, I'm going to do it a lotus birth. I'm going to have a vegan pregnancy. We're going to do this, and that. And people used to look at me crazy, like, you're going to keep the placenta attached the whole time? And I would get a lot of, and we would tell people, oh, we're going to do a home birth and he's going to deliver the baby. And it was like kind of like a joke to everybody, like, oh, wow, that's or people push their fear mongering stories off on you about how dangerous it is. But in actuality, it's actually safer than the hospital in most cases. Like if you have any pre-existing conditions, then that's something different. But just normal, healthy, regular pregnancies, that's it's actually a safer route. So with Kimani, I was vegan the whole pregnancy, which was very hard. I had meat cravings that were haunting. They were very, very strong. And I knew it was the pregnancy because I don't like meat like that. Like it doesn't, people say, do you miss it? Maybe in the beginning, like when I first transitioned, but now that I'm on year 4, I don't even look at it the same. So I didn't want it. But at that time I wanted a Philly cheesesteak and a chicken Parmesan hero. Those were my 2 things I really wanted. But I battled it out and I didn't do it, which I'm glad. And it was challenging though, but I was one of those women that like I couldn't eat a lot. Like if I ate too much, I would get like not sick, but like this weird feeling I didn't like. So I would only just eat little bits at a time. But fast forward to the birth, I went into labor with her at 38 weeks, 5 days. My water broke just like with Brianna. And we actually didn't have a planned home birth. We were planning on going to the hospital. We hired doula ourselves, and she was really nice. She provided a lot of information, but she was pregnant herself. And when I went into labor, she actually had a doctor. She was a high risk pregnancy, so she had a doctor's appointment that day that she couldn't miss, or otherwise she would have been out weeks and weeks and weeks. So she came by the house when I first went into labor, and the contractions were different. They weren't 30 minutes apart. They were 5 minutes apart from the very beginning. It was intense from when the water broke. It was back to back to back. So she came by and she was, telling me, breathe, make sure I don't clench up because I kept going like this. She was telling me to relax. She was super comforting. And then she went, to her doctor's appointment. But I had already been in labor for a few hours already when she came, and then she left. So basically, it definitely hurt, but it was not as intense as the first time. I think a big part of that was my regimen when I was pregnant, as far as drinking my teas. I drank red raspberry leaf tea, only 1 cup during the first trimester. And then as I drank more and more. I think that really tones the uterus and it really prepares you for a great birth. And I really, really, really can attest to that. The whole time the contractions were intense, but it was nothing. I wasn't screaming or carrying on. Mindset is everything. I already had my mindset that this was what was going to happen. There was no epidural. There are no interventions. So whatever it is, that's what it's going to be. My husband had all the lights dim. He had meditation music playing on one and then birth affirmations playing on another. He had candles lit all over the house. Like he just, as soon as my water broke, he started running around doing everything because
I
we
know
didn't
that's right.
expect it
Come
that
on now, husband.
we didn't expect it to happen that fast. And so after I went into went into labor around midnight,
Mm-hmm.
and around 8 a.m. because I labored through the night on the birth ball, on the toilet. That's really a good place to be because it opens up the pelvic floor and it really
Yeah.
brings the baby into transition. So I spent a lot of time on the toilet, on the birthing ball, and then I would try to lay down. But laying down was actually the most uncomfortable. But I was
Yeah.
tired, so I wanted to lay
Agreed.
down, but I was more comfortable on the birthing ball. So, uh, like I said, we planned to go to the hospital, but at that time, I was just like so comfortable in my own setting. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see myself getting dressed and leaving there. I
Yeah.
didn't really have a plan. I just knew I wasn't going to get dressed and go anywhere, but
Yeah.
I didn't really plan on going on. I really don't really know what I was thinking at that point. I kind of have a lot of like blackout moments because I was
Yeah.
so into it. So the last time I started feeling the feeling of like I had to push, which I didn't feel the first
Mm-hmm.
time because I had the epidural. Like it was a strong, strong sensation to bear down. And I was like, it's too early because I was
Yeah.
in labor 25 hours. I'm thinking it's going to be hours and hours. I was only about 7 hours in and I already felt like I had to push.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my husband, let me go to the bathroom again. I feel like I have to push or whatever. So I get to the bathroom and I'm literally trying not to push anymore. Like I'm trying to hold it in, but I just can't. So when we get to the bathroom, I'm like, look down there and see what's going on. So he
Yeah.
flashes his camera light and he sees her hair. Girl, we were so shocked. We just started
Uh-oh.
like, he started running, going to get towels, trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what to happen. I'm in the bathroom trying not to push her out. And, I get a lot of questions like,
Wow.
how do you know when to push? And the answer
Mm-hmm.
is you can't stop pushing. When there's no epidural, when there's no interference, you don't even have to actually push. The
Mm-hmm.
baby will come out on its own. And I realized I actually started pushing and she came out probably too fast because I did have a little tear. Now I
Mm-hmm.
see why they want you to do it like slow and steady. I didn't know, I just was kind of
Right.
going
Right.
with
Right.
the feeling or whatever. So I ended up I ended up um pushing her. I stood up off the toilet. I ended up pushing her out and he caught her from behind. So I was kind of like one leg up, one knee on the floor when she came out. And I remember I
Mm-hmm.
kind of spaced out. I don't remember. And we didn't get to record it. We didn't get to do anything because it was
Yeah.
so fast. And I
Mm-hmm.
really regret that. I really wanted the recording, but whatever. So I remember him handing her to me from the back and she was automatically crying and he put
Mm-hmm.
down the towel. I sat on the toilet. I immediately had her on my chest and we just went from there. And she immediately latched. And as soon as she
Yeah.
latched, you can feel the contractions of the uterus and the placenta came out. And then we just went from there. We just, drained the placenta. And like I said, we did a lotus birth and we had her at about 9:47 a.m. So it was about 8.5 hours of labor. And we stayed home with her for hours. We didn't go to the hospital till 5 o'clock that afternoon. It was a
Mm-hmm.
super relaxed environment. There was nothing wrong with her. There was no urgency. But being that I never did it, and I did want her to get checked out by a medical professional. So that's
Right.
what we did. And
Yeah.
it was literally beautiful. Afterwards, I got like this surge of energy, like when they say those endorphins start coming in.
Yeah.
He was looking tired, like he gave birth. I was ready to go. I was like vibrant. My
Weak.
skin was glowing. Like
Yeah.
it was such a beautiful moment. And I was like so proud of myself. Like I really felt like I was
Yeah.
reborn. Like
Yeah.
we couldn't believe that we actually did it. Like we were
Yeah.
both in shock and
Yeah.
it was beautiful. And after that, I was like, because when you get epidurals and pitocin, those endorphins and stuff, you don't have that feeling. A lot of that stuff is blocked off by the intervention, by the
Right.
medications.
Right.
So after that, I said, oh yeah, other people need to experience this for sure.
Oh, for
And
sure.
that's
For
how
sure.
that's
I
how it
love
happened.
that. I love the beauty of how nature kind of just takes over. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in the hospital setting, no, it's it. I don't want to make anyone who is on here who's had a hospital birth or who even is still planning to have a hospital birth or planning to have a cesarean. I don't want you to feel guilty, or I don't want you to feel convicted or anything. I don't want you to feel any kind of negative vibes, because it's going to be different for everyone. Every mother, every pregnant expecting mom is going to want different for their pregnancy experience. What we want to do
Right.
is highlight what is not talked about as much, which
Right.
is home
Right.
birth and using a doula, and how this is an option. This is an option, because a lot of people, they don't even look at it as an option. They're not even like that. They don't even consider it. And I was one of those people. Like, I had my first one at 18 years old. So all I knew was the traditional way of having a child. I did everything that I felt like I should have done in terms of having childbirthing classes and, try to stay healthy and doing my prenatal, everything that we're trained to, the common way, I guess we can call it, the common way of having a child. And then my second time around, I have 3 girls right now. My second time around, it was a little different. We planned it. We waited 6 years, but we still went the traditional route. And it was an idea. It was a thought like, oh, I want to have my baby at home, or I want to have, a water birth, but still wasn't educated enough, didn't have enough confidence built up to say, okay, yeah, that's what we're going to do, And then my third, we talked about it. I probably was like halfway there. I was on the fence. I almost got my husband to go ahead and commit to it. And he was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do the hospital. So we did it then. And now I'm finally feeling like I'm seasoned enough. I'm confident enough. I know what my strengths are. Even in the hospital, I kind of played around with that, during birth, with not doing the, a lot of the medicines and the epidurals or anything, but just allowing my body to just kind of go through the process, which it still was a little restricted, because first and foremost, I had like a ton of people in my room each and every time. And I didn't really have a voice, right? I didn't really know my authority as the mom, as the one that's bringing in this new life, not even just like being able to say what I wanted and what I felt like I needed, but also what my body was capable of. I was still kind of learning that. So all in all, we want moms to know what your options are. And we want you to know that this is absolutely an option for you, and kind of to give you that confidence to be able to make that decision to do a home birth, had you not maybe thought about it previously. So I'm excited about it. I think it's beautiful that nature has its opportunity to take its course. And it's just a beautiful thing, because I can only imagine, like, I sit here now and I think about, oh my God, how am I going to feel once that day happens, and I have the baby and I'm home and I'm in the comfort of my own home and it's an intimate moment and I did it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to be like walking around here like I'm a bad bee. I'm gonna be feeling myself, because that is something that's just like, I feel like it's childbirth in itself really shows a woman her strength. You know what I'm saying? Because no man can give birth, right? That's only something that we can do. That's our superpower. So to be able to like fully embrace that, I'm just excited. So I'm always, just thinking about it, putting out my intentions and saying, this is going to happen, and trying to stay as healthy as I can to make sure that it does happen. But you mentioned, Angel, about a lotus birth. And there may be some people who watch this or who are currently on the live who don't know what that is. So can you explain what a lotus birth is and like the benefits of it?
Okay. Yeah. So the lotus birth is, instead of cutting the umbilical cord at birth, you leave it attached to the placenta and to the baby until it falls off naturally. And what we don't know, many of us don't know, or they never tell us, is that the placenta is like amazing. It's an amazing organ. And when the baby is born, over 30% of the baby's blood is still in the placenta. And it has minerals, stem cells. If you don't know about stem cells can become any cell in the body. So that's powerful. And only the placenta creates these. So when you leave the baby attached, not only do you let the baby receive all the blood, they receive stem cells, minerals, all the things that they need to basically have a good start at life. So uh, it's a big thing. And a lot of times the hospital will, frown upon it. They say that it's a high risk of infection. It's dead flesh. It doesn't have any
Mhm.
benefits. They say a lot of that. We went through that when we first started talking to our healthcare provider about wanting to do a lotus birth. Everybody was like frowning upon it, and
Mhm.
they didn't want to do it. As far as when we had her, it was challenging as far as like, working around the cord. It's a little different, but
Yeah.
hers fell
Yeah.
off within it was 2.5 days. It went from a thick cord where you can see the blood in it to
Right.
a twig in two
Mhm.
days. And
Mhm.
really, if you think about it, when they cut the cord and they leave the little thing, that takes 7 to 10 days,
Yeah.
and that's an
Yeah.
open wound on the stomach
Mhm.
area. So
Mhm.
really, when you think about it, that leaves it more open to infection than actually just having the cord attached.
Mhm.
We put the placenta in a bowl because it's like, I guess the blood is coming out of it. So after a while, after you let the blood, you drain it, then you put sea salt and a variety of herbs, whatever herbs
Mhm.
that work for you. You can look it up, or whatever ones. We had like the flowers and the different things to cover up the smell. But honestly, it never smelled. They kept saying a smell, but I never smelled anything from it. And
Mhm.
it was beautiful. She was super calm, and she just looked at peace. She didn't do too much crying, or like, we were
Mhm.
just reviving. Like, she just was constantly on me. And
Mhm.
I really feel like, if because people like frown upon the lotus birth. So I feel like if you don't want to do the lotus birth, you can always do delayed cord clamping. The longer
Mhm.
you delay it, the more the process gets to happen. I feel like
Yeah.
even at the hospital, you can do, if you're staying overnight, there's no reason why you can't just stay attached. The baby can't stay attached, and before you leave the hospital, cut it. Fine, if
Right.
that's what you want to do. That's still over 12 hours, 24, however many hours for it to do its thing or whatever.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
also don't like to let people take the placenta home. And
Right.
as women, like you say, a lot of us don't have our voice. We get nervous. They're
Yep.
like authority figures, it
Yeah.
like subconsciously to us, when really they're not. They're
Mhm.
providers that are being paid for a service. We're paying them.
Yeah.
They're not doing us a favor. It's not
Mhm.
free. What I'm saying? That I always give this example. When you go get your hair done, you don't tell the stylist doesn't say, okay, well, you're getting this, and you're paying, you paid her, but you leave with what she
Mhm.
wants. That's not how it works. And
Mhm.
we really do have a say so, and we really can. We're constantly told, well, we can't do that. That's against hospital policy. But really,
Yeah.
none of that matters. But you have
Right.
to be educated and know what you're talking about, because they are very, very aggressive. And I wanted to
Yeah.
go back to a couple of things that you said about about the hospital birth and not discouraging everybody, because
Mhm.
that's absolutely true. I do
Mhm.
provide doula services for women who do want to go to the hospital. Some people, the home birth just isn't for them, or they're
Yeah.
nervous, or they don't have the proper support, or whatever reason. But a doula, I feel like, is even more essential in the hospital, because you have an advocate. Now, doulas can't speak to the doctors, or we can't speak for you. We can only speak to you. But we're
Mhm.
there to empower you. We're there to, get you moving around, show you different labor positions, keep you grounded, and
Mhm.
be that voice in your ear, that when they come in and say, because they only give you one side of the story, you can't make an informed decision with only one side. So if
Yeah.
they come in and say something, the doula is knowledgeable, that can tell you, okay, you can do that, which is perfectly fine, but here's another option. And then you have the
Yeah.
option to choose. So therefore, you're taking back control of your birth experience, and you're not being bullied, because they pressure.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I
Right.
really don't understand how it became like this. I hear so many horror stories of them really like pressuring people. Because, like I said, when we went to the hospital at five that afternoon, they were like shocked. Like, people were coming in our room, the nurses and stuff were coming in our room and was asking about the lotus birth. It got around the hospital. We were the first lotus birth in Pitt, Pitt County Hospital, Vidant. First
Mhm.
one. Doctors 20, 25 years, never even heard of it, asking us who are all just self researchers about why we do it and the spiritual benefits. And it just was amazing. It was amazing to me. And then we had people coming in, back to back, badgering us, still trying to cut the cord. Like, I'm like, listen, we gave birth at home. We're just here to have her checked out. They kept pushing vaccines. They kept pushing like their agenda, and they would send more and more people in and different ones. And, oh, you're putting your child at risk, and you're at risk for brain bleeds, and we're at this and that, because we denied all tests also. I just didn't feel as if it was necessary. I feel like you said, nature takes its course. If there's something wrong with the baby, as the mother, you're going to know. The baby's going to let you know. Everything that's ever wrong with anyone has symptoms. So if there's no symptoms, what are we checking for all this for? Why are we pricking and prodding and doing all this to the baby? Because I feel like you're causing more harm than good. So that was definitely an experience. And I wanted, to get out of there. And it got a little ugly because my husband was not going for it. And they did not treat us nicely at all once they figured out we weren't going to do anything. The only thing we let them check was her temperature, and that they were super salty about it. They were super salty about it.
Let me see, Angel, really quick, if I can share. Let me see if it's going to let me share my screen really quick, because I want to show the picture of the lotus birth. Let me see. Let's see if it'll happen. Can you see my screen, or do you just still see me?
No, I see you and me.
Okay, let me see something. It may not let me do this, but I'm gonna try, because I really want people to see a picture that you have on your doula page. Let's see. And shoot, let me see. I might have to do it while you're talking again, because I got to get my system preferences situated. Okay, so I'm gonna try it again in a second, but hopefully I'll be able to show you guys. And if I don't, go to her page, The Divine Doula, and you can look through her photos. And there's a photo in there that shows the placenta with all the herbs and the flower petals that she was talking about earlier. If you really want to kind of get a visual of what a lotus birth looks like, and to kind of see that she's telling the truth. She did this with her baby. And also, look around on YouTube. There are plenty of families that share, their process as well. But definitely check out the Divine Doula so you can see her personal picture. Because that's what I like to see. I like to see the real thing. Like, if you're telling me about it, that you've gone through this is your experience. Like, let me see. Let me see some proof.
Right.
So definitely go check it out. But also, what I wanted to touch on too, really quickly, is that the part where you were talking about them being, the hospitals and the providers being authority figure versus being an actual provider who is someone who is offering you a service. And I think that's so important, because like I said before, it's and even with me, I've dealt with it personally with the vaccines. Angel, when you say, no, you don't want to have, anytime you step outside of their protocol, it's like they immediately come at you, and it's like a hounding situation. Almost, it's so uncomfortable. And for a while, like, I didn't have the confidence to push back on any of that, because for one, I wasn't educated enough on why I didn't want to do it, or why I should be going up against it, or why I should be asking questions. It's just like when they give you that list of vaccinations, I was just like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing at 18 months. This is what we're supposed to be doing when they're born. This is what we're supposed to be doing. It's like we put all of our trust and our faith in them as our providers and as the medical professionals. And we forget to do our own homework. We forget to look into things on our own, because a lot of times when you do, you at least know, you empower yourself to be in the authority position to say yay or nay. It's not to say that everybody has to do it the same way, but don't just do it because you're told to do it. At least do your own research so that you're educated enough to be able to make the best decision for you and your child. So I've looked at different family members and other situations that I've been close enough to witness outside of my own personal life, where people, they just don't have the confidence to say, no, I'm not going to take 20 pills a day. You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to do that. Like, is there a different way that we can go about this? And so I'm so thankful, though, the last time that I did have, with my last child, my third one, I was in a hospital, and my doctor happened to be, a very holistic person, even though she's taught, the medical or the Western way or Western medicine. she still was very open to what I wanted to do and me doing things the natural way. And so it wasn't hard for me to push back on my nurses and push back on my team of healthcare professionals, because she was there to vouch for me. Like at one point I got up to walk around and they were like, you have to have your doctor sign off for you to walk around. You need to get back into bed. Like they literally came and searched me down and was like, what are you doing? And I got all scared. I'm like, wait, I'm just walking. Literally just walking. And so she had perfect timing, because she came right in, signed off on the papers, and I was good to go. I was able to walk around. But that's the kind of freedom or lack thereof that is in the hospital. Like, why wouldn't I be able to walk? You know, I didn't have any kind of high risk factors, any kind of issues that I was dealing with. I had a really great experiences with all three of my pregnancies, to where there was no reason why I shouldn't have been able to walk around. No concern at all. So that's the kind of freedom that I long for this time around, where if I want to lay down, or if I want to squat on a ball, or if I want to walk around, or, you know, whatever I want to do, I'll be able to do that. So that's why we are having this conversation, so moms can know that there is another way that you can do it. You know what I mean? There are options, right? If you want to consider a home birth or anything outside of a hospital birth. So definitely think about that and find your voice when it comes to providers, because you're paying them. You're paying them a lot of money to give you the service, to provide you the service that you want. So definitely don't go in here thinking like, you know, you got to follow by their rules. No, they kind of got to follow by your rules, because you are the patient, right? So I just really wanted to touch on them a little bit more. Did you have anything to add to that, Angel?
Yeah, I wanted to also say that the individual nurses and the doctors that do that, because I thought long and hard about this, because I'm like, why? I feel like they bully and they push and they push, and they cause a lot of trauma to women.
Yeah.
And then I go home and I have to deal with that the rest of my life. And you move on with your life, and I'm just another patient. So why would you go so hard to convince me against what I wanted to do, when you know this is such an important day? Like, I had to really think about it. And what my answer is, they are trained to do that. They don't have, just like those ladies that came in and didn't never heard about a Lotus birth, and they had been a nurse for 25 years. That goes to show me that they've never looked into anything but what they were trained to do. They are trained that this is the only way. Western medicine doesn't teach holistic. That's not even, they don't teach herbs. They don't teach natural. They didn't even know what Lotus birth was. They don't teach anything but, so as soon as you go outside of that, their programming kicks in, and they're trying to combat you because you're going above what they even know. They're like, Lotus birth, I don't even know how to do it. So they start basically projecting onto you because you're going outside of what they were taught. And it's really nothing personal. And I just feel like, especially with the vaccines, you know, a lot of doctors, they haven't really, they're only taught how to administer the vaccines, and they're taught the schedule, but they're not taught about all the adverse effects and what it actually does. And if anything happens to the baby, the doctor's not liable, nor is the manufacturer of the vaccine. They have a liability on all of that. So if anything happens to your baby, it's just you, your baby, and your family have to deal with it, because the people that pressured you to do it, they walk away scot-free. And I have a real problem with that, because a lot of babies are harmed. And, you know, when they're first born, they want to cut the cord. They want to do a hepatitis B shot, which hepatitis B comes from sexual contact and sharing needles, which babies don't do. So we don't need that. They want to put eye drops in their eyes to supposedly prevent them from infection, but they're coming from an environment that they were in the whole time. So where's the infection coming from? We're not asking any of these questions. We're just doing it, you know, and the vitamin K shot, it's not even a vitamin. You know, they say that it prevents brain bleeds, but why would the baby's brain be bleeding? Like, these are just all like common sense that I really started asking afterwards, but I never judged, because like I said with Brianna, she got all that, the vitamin
Yeah.
K, this, that.
Yeah.
She's got when I look back on her vaccination record, I'd even asked what the vaccines were when she went in. I look
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
they gave her a flu shot at 8 months old. I never even knew that flu shot was in there. She's had 2 flu shots that I knew nothing about because I never asked. They just said these are the
Mhm.
3-month shots. They come in with a little tray, and that's what
Right.
it is. So I never judged.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
point is, when you know better, you have to do better. You can know everything, but there's action that has to come behind knowing. And I wanted
Right.
to touch on one thing when you said that there was a lot of people in your room, and I think you had told
Mhm.
me that it was like students and stuff.
Yeah.
That right there makes women so uncomfortable, because you have to remember that everybody carries energy. Everybody is energy. And when you got strangers around, you don't know what kind of energy they hold and how it's affecting you, because it's on a spiritual level. So
Mhm.
we in the hospital sometimes, we're already vulnerable, we're feeling, we're going through the contractions, we got doctors telling us what we can and cannot do, we're feeling restricted, we're not in the comfort of our own home, and then we have strangers around. That can stall and slow up labor too, because your body
Mhm.
is not completely relaxed, and you're going
Right.
through stress, which is, the baby's not going to want to come out in a stressful environment. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If
Yep.
if mom is clenching up and she's upset because the doctor said this and that, that's not a good, uh place for a baby to be born in, as far as in that
Right.
energy. So
Yeah.
when they say, can the students watch, my answer was no. Even back then,
Mhm.
no. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to be shady or anything. I know you
Yeah.
need to learn too, but not in here.
What
You
you
know what
say?
I'm
You need to
saying? Because I just feel like, yeah, this was my
learn.
special day. And it really just, it really hinders the mother. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was it
agree.
on
I
that.
agree. And I thank you. And I really hope that any of the viewers, all of the viewers that are watching, you don't get anything else from this. Just get your confidence to be able to raise your hand if you have a question, or ask your question, and to really use your voice, because at the end of the day, your answers won't ever get answered if you don't ask them, right? And so, or unless you're
Right.
doing your own research, which is in turn, you got a question, so you're looking for the answer. So I just really encourage all moms to do your research, to make sure you are doing things in a way that put you in the authority position, right? So where you have all the information, you're well educated to make the best decision for you and your family. That at the end of the day is what I hope you get out of this whole thing. And then also, if you're looking for a doula, come on now, one right here. So definitely, again, I'm gonna put her back on the screen. Angel Whitehurst, she is the Divine Doula. You can find her on Facebook. She's also on Instagram, so check her out. Definitely go on over to her page. She posts a lot of content about just all things that pertain to pregnancy, and just shedding light on a lot of things that you wouldn't normally just come across if you're not doing your own research. So it gives you a definite different perspective on pregnancy, different perspective that maybe you never even thought about. So definitely check out her page and reach out to her if you have any questions, if you want to set up a consultation, or if you are family planning or even expecting, because she's great at what she does. And she, to me, is a very I like people who are educated and who know what they're doing, because they're taught and they're trained and they have that. But I also like a person who you can just naturally gravitate to, right? You can just naturally know they're a good person and they're passionate about what they do. So to me, that goes over and above everything else. Like, I need to know that you're doing this for the right reasons, especially when we're dealing with, something as sensitive and intimate as birth, bringing life into the world, right? So check her out, Angel Whitehurst, the Divine Doula. And so we have about 4 questions that I came up with, Angel, while you were talking, that I just want to kind of hit very quickly. And as you're talking and answering those questions, I'm sure there'll be a couple of other things that come to mind. But when you were talking about the lotus birth, let me back up. Let's back up a little bit and talk about what a doula is, like what it actually is, what's your definition of that. And we've touched on it a little bit, just kind of, throughout the conversation. But could you kind of summarize for us, what is a doula and what is their role in the birthing, or even the pregnancy, labor, and
Yeah.
delivery with their clients?
Okay. So basically, a doula is basically a complete support for the mom from the beginning to after, and even after you have the baby postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
People think, they have different misconceptions about exactly what it is, so it's not a medical, like, it's not a medical professional. As far as some do, depending if they're like a doula midwife, they might come to your house and check vitals or do cervical checks and stuff like that. It's not so much that. It's more of the knowledge base for you. It's more of the sisterhood, the friendship, the advocacy. It looks different for every woman, but so like when you first find out you're pregnant, a doula, can help you find a proper healthcare provider. You know, they're,
Mm-hmm.
versed in, they know who's good, they know who's not, and they can help you, find that healthcare provider, because that's vital. Because if you go to
Right.
someone who's not open, it's just going to be a constant fight the whole time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's early to find a doula early and let her help you find the provider. Then throughout the pregnancy, you guys talk. She's there for any kind of emotional support, any kind of questions that you may have, just to have someone that anything comes up, anything feels off, anything, you have a go-to person. You don't always have to go to the emergency room, or, it's
Mm-hmm.
just really that security for you.
Right.
And when you spend that much time with someone, it really turns into a friendship. It really turns into like a
Yeah.
sisterhood. By the time you are in labor, you guys already know each other. Then it
Right.
goes from, when you do go into labor, you call the doula. She
Mm-hmm.
can, kind of gauge by what you're telling her what's the next move. As far as if you're going to have a home birth, then you guys go do that. If you're going to go to the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, when to go to the hospital, how to labor at home, different labor positions, pain comfort, massages, positioning. It's just like all things mother. It's all things for the mother. It's focusing on the mother, because a lot of times, like, even though the mother's doing all the work, and the mother gets lost in the process. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
you know the
Yeah.
baby, we need to do this, we need to do that, but no one, it says, how's the mom feeling? Is she comfortable? Is she,
Mm-hmm.
how's her mental space? That's what the doula is for. And it's also,
Mm-hmm.
for the husbands, to
Yeah.
help him find his role. Okay, well, you can do this. You can help her do this massage. We can use the
Mm-hmm.
rebozo. You can hold her this way. It's like, she basically can help guide you through the process. And
Yeah.
that's what my goal is for when I do home births. Is not, I'm not there to deliver your baby. I'm
Yeah.
there to help you deliver your baby, because
Yeah.
that's you have to already have the mindset that that's what you want to do, and then I'm just there to assist you and get it accomplished.
That's a
So
good point.
that's basically sums it up.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people do get midwives and doulas mixed up. And so I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
you did say that. The midwife would be the one that would be part of your team if you wanted actual, like a medical professional to help you to deliver and weigh the child and check your cervix and all of those things. And that could be part of your team. It looks different when you do a home birth. You can do a completely 100% unassisted home birth. You can have just you and your partner and your doula. You can have you, your partner, your doula, and a midwife, and your support
Right.
people and your kids. So it looks different for everyone. But a doula is not a midwife. That is one common thing. And I had to learn that too, because I was like, well, what does a doula do? And why is it different, or how is it different than a midwife? All of that. So good point. And then the next question I have for you, Angel, is you were talking a little bit about the placenta and the lotus birth. And the lotus birth, which we know, like Angel explained, is when you leave the placenta attached, you don't cut the cord, and you let the placenta come out naturally on its own. Like you give birth to the placenta, and then you let it just
Mm-hmm.
drain over time, or it's going to, all of the blood or the nutrients that's in the placenta is going to go through your child. So it'll dry out. You'll keep it all packed in what they call seasoned. You'll take care of it. You'll care for the placenta until the cord falls off on its own, which can take anywhere from how many days? Angel, was it like 2 to 10, something like
They
that?
they say 5 to 7. That's what they said. But
Mhm.
like I said, Kimani's came off in 2.5 days. It happened so quickly.
Okay. So how do you
And I'm
drain? Go ahead.
no, I was saying I'm in a Lotus birth group, and I've seen anywhere from 2 to 5. I haven't seen like anybody post past 5 days for the cord to come
Gotcha.
off. And you said,
Okay.
how about to
How do you
drain what?
drain the placenta?
It drains itself. So when we had it in a glass bowl, and
Mm-hmm.
you will see it kind of fill up with blood, and then we kind
Mm-hmm.
of like would pour it, rinse it, and you see it fill up again. And then after a while, it won't fill up as much, and that's the cue that you can go ahead and try to put it. We had like a drawstring bag, so we just
Mm-hmm.
laid it in the bag, and then that's when you put the salt and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to put the herbs and stuff too soon, just like it fills up the like how it was filling up the bowl, it's gonna just
Mm-hmm.
mess up your bag or whatever. And it
Mm-hmm.
still moist, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like actually bleeding anymore. So yeah,
Right.
it drains itself. Like that's what I always tell people. All you have to do is just follow the cue. Nature literally does everything. All you have to do is
Mm-hmm.
just listen. It's
Yeah.
it's it's very simple. It like everything does everything it's supposed to do all on its own. You just got to kind of be obedient and flow with the energy.
Yeah. I love that. Now, this is one thing my husband asked. We were like, well, I was like, babe, we can do the lotus birth or whatever, da 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 da. And so he's like, so what? So that means that the placenta is going to stay attached to the baby. And I was like, yeah. He's like, so that means when you hold the baby, you're going to have to be careful for the cord, careful for the placenta. So tell me, how did you work around that, which it didn't take you that long, thankfully, only 2.5 days, because I've
Right.
seen some videos where it takes like 5 days, like you said. But how did you work around that? And also, I should have made this one question, but did you have visitors during that time that came to see the baby? Because then, people want to hold the baby and all of that. So how did you work around that?
So it was the longest 2 days ever because it didn't feel like 2 days.
Yeah.
And really, if you we didn't I stayed like, stationary pretty much, as far as there wasn't a lot of moving the baby around. So if I'm on the bed with her, the cord, and it's just kind of just move it this way or that way
Hmm.
or whatever. It's
Hmm.
not really a big issue. But if you're trying to like move the baby around from going to the doctor or like
Right.
going outside, that's when the issue comes in. So
Hmm.
really, we just had the bag, and we had it like in a basket, and we would just keep it really close, always really close to her, so that way there was no snagging of the cord.
Hmm.
Um, and when we were sleeping, she would just have the cord, right next to her. It, it
Yeah.
was it was just kind of more nerve wracking when you were like holding her. Like I felt like I
Right.
was so worried about the cord, but I just had in mind we're doing this for her. This is
Right.
whatever is uncomfortable. I always put her well-being before my comfort, or what was going to work better for me. That was
Right.
just my mindset. So whatever it was, if I had to hold that cord up under here, whatever, what I'm saying,
Hmm.
close, that's what had to happen. So it wasn't as bad as it seems. It's, you kind of, like you said, like I said before, you kind of just flow with it. I did have visitors, but no one wanted to pick her up. No one even
Yeah.
asked, because they already knew, like her father,
Yeah.
he was super strict. He just was on it. So no one even asked to pick her up. So no one held her until
Hmm.
a while later on. Like my mom,
Gotcha.
she held her when she was born, but it wasn't an issue. She just had the cord right there. My mom was the
Hmm.
only one that held her. Everyone else kind of was like, "Oh, look at the baby," and just kind of left it like that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good to know too. And now with I don't even think, with everybody so just uptight about COVID and all of those things. Um I just think it's so different now when you're giving birth, especially when you're in a hospital where you can't even have visitors. You can halfway have your partner in there with you when you're having the baby. So
Right.
I think those are some of the other things that I guess would kind of make it a little bit better for those who have big families. If you're wanting to have a home
Right.
birth, and most people aren't even wanting to go around, older people, elderly people, or babies right now anyway, for the fear of, them giving or putting them in harm's way. So I think that's something to consider too, but it'll probably be something that you won't even have to worry about if that is what you choose to do. But for us, like I said, we're going
Right.
back and forth through between delayed clamping and the lotus birth. I really want to do the lotus birth just because I always want to do the the best thing, you know, and so I really want to do that. And so that's what I've been kind of saying that I'm going to do and educating myself on. I haven't really done too much. Like I've watched maybe a couple of videos on the delayed clamping and I've seen that, but I'm not really leaning towards that direction. So we'll see what happens. But we're coming down to almost to the end of our time. And so I wanted to just quickly touch on some of the things that I plan to do. Hold on, let me bring up my little list because I want to stay on track. All right, so for me, again, I've told you guys that I have 3 kids, and this is my 4th pregnancy, and I am working with Angel. And so we are planning to have a home birth. I would love to be able to have a water birth, but we'll see how that goes. I go back and forth of, just, I don't even know how I'm going to feel. Like, am I even going to want to get in the water? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you just never know how you're going to feel.
So, yeah, you don't know. So we might have that here as just, and it might even go so fast you won't even have time to get in the water. So, but we're planning for a home birth for sure. We're going back and forth about doing a water birth. I've also looked up like hypnobirthing. Have you heard of that, Angel? Where they do like
I looked into that. Yeah, I had looked into that. I didn't do that because it was like, it was like different DVDs you had to purchase. But I feel like the birth affirmations that I played was kind of the same thing. Not exactly, but it was down that same alley. And it really did help because everything that lady was saying is she kept saying, your birth is going to be so easy. It's going to be so beautiful. You're doing a great job. And it really kind of was easy. Like everything that it really helped me.
Yeah. So that's kind of the route that I'm going, more so with just kind of prepping my home for that experience, right? So doing my affirmations and doing different things that I feel like is going to cleanse the space, and prepare for that time so that when that time does come, I feel like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't feel uptight. I don't feel anxious. I feel positive and I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm in my zone. And so that's another thing that we'll be doing, the affirmations and, the candles and all of that. Should we have enough time to do that? This is the plan because we know sometimes it just doesn't go as planned. But for all 3 of the births, it's been a labor process. My water didn't break with either of my kids. And so until I was well into the labor process, it didn't just like my water broke and then the labor started. It was like labor started. I was well into labor and then they either had to break my water or it broke during like her coming down the canal. So I hope I get to experience a water break. I'm like, what does that even feel like? But so we're doing that. And then what else? Have I talked to you about anything else, Angel? Other than just like the pregnancy itself, I think I just want to try to stay super healthy. I've been trying to stay on my vegan-ish. Oh my God, y'all. Listen, for me, the Angel is a G. Like she got that willpower that I'm like, give me some of that because first trimester for me, I was just like, whatever April wants, April's gonna get. And so I was all over the place. And so towards the beginning of the year, I had to kind of like realign my focus and get on track and get some discipline in there and just say, no, I'm not going to eat it as much as I want. I'm not even going to go around it because I know I'm going to have it if I'm around it. So I try to even just keep my face clean. I haven't done perfect, but I've done a lot better. And I'm finally getting to the point where I'm feeling my rhythm. As long as I got my groceries and I do my prep time and I know like I've already got my my day plan for my breakfast snack, lunch snack, and dinner, then I'm good. But if I ever come across a day where I'm not prepared, I'm like, oh, what is close by to eat? So I think that's a good thing to remember too, is preparation. If you are trying to stick to like a specific diet or a vegan diet, making sure you set yourself up for success. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I think we hit on everything. Anything else you want to add, Angel?
Yeah, I wanted to just talk about the bath, giving the baby a bath, especially with the Lotus birth. We waited 6 days before we gave her a bath. And you should always, when the baby comes out with the vernix on it, you should always rub that into the skin. You don't want to rinse that off. That's the baby's first coat of protection, and it absorbs into the skin. We seen it. She came out completely covered in vernix, and within 2 hours, it was her regular skin. We didn't do nothing but rub it in like lotion. So I definitely would not rush for the bath. If you want to take a washcloth, wipe them down or whatever, I would not rush to put the baby in the bath, especially also too because they're regulating their temperature at that time, and submerging them in water and changing their environment is a little much to do right from the beginning. So I would definitely I wanted to add that, and I wanted to talk about if they tell you your baby has jaundice, that an alternative from the light therapy is actually breastfeeding around the clock and natural sunlight from the window, because Kimani had jaundice and we completely got rid of it, and we never did the light therapy. So just throwing another alternative, because they don't even talk about the sun, and they just make it seem like, that going under the lights is the only thing that's going to bring the bilirubin levels down, and that's not true. Those are the two big things I want to just add in there, just for everybody.
Thank you. Because those are definitely important, because again, we're taught like hurry up and bath the baby. We want to put all the smell good baby stuff on them, and and it's so common. It just feels like it's supposed to be a part of the experience, right? That they're supposed to get all of their vaccinations, and then we're supposed to bathe them and get them all smelling good and put on their, their coming home outfit and all the other cute little stuff.
Right.
And again, no judgment, because I did it with all my kids, right? But these are just other ways to look at it, and then it just shows you that there are also healthier ways that you can approach it that you may not even have known about. So the whole part about the vernix, I've never in my life heard of that. Like I've always been taught to wash it off and to get it off of their skin. And, especially my babies, they came out with it. But I've seen babies that came out with it and it was like a lot of it on them. I think Tavi came out with the most. And, you're just taught to get it off, and they take them for their first bath and all of that kind of good stuff. So it's more so about how we've been trained to think, and then just kind of challenging that. And I've always kind of been the rebel of my family. They already know, like, April, what you up to now? Like, what you doing?
Right, me too.
Why not see, what else is out there if there's a better way of doing it, right? Or a healthier way of doing things. So, but yeah, I never heard about the vernix at all whatsoever. So that's a good point that you make. But thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Angel, because, I had to give you that shout out yesterday, and I'm going to give it to you again because she made me a plate, y'all. And I think that's the best thing that you can do. One of the best things you can do for a pregnant woman is to give her food, like in free food. And so she made me a plate yesterday and was like, look, I got a plate with your name on it if you want. And I was like, do I want it? Girl, I'll be right on over there. And so that was even better. But like, those are some of the things that I look forward to in our little journey together. And having a doula is, like she said, building that relationship, being able to have that support system, being able to call her and talk about little, pregnancy stuff or vent or whatever the case may be. Just having that support is everything, especially in a woman, who understands, right, what your expectations are, what your plan is, what you're trying to go for, what your goals are in terms of your pregnancy, your labor, and your delivery. And they're not judging you. They're literally just here to support you and to help you have the best pregnancy, labor, delivery experience. So thank you for that plate, because it came in handy. My kids were like, I want some. Tavi literally grabbed my plate and the sauce off the countertop and was going down the hall with it, trailing it all the way. Like, thankfully, it didn't come all the way open. I was like, girl, that's how bad she wanted it plate. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I look forward to continuing our journey together, Angel. And for anyone else who's interested, let me put it back up here. Angel Whitehurst, she is the Divine Doula. You can find her on Facebook. Definitely go on over, check her out, reach out to her if you have some questions. And just remember to just, own your voice, right? As a woman, as a mom, as an expectant mom, own your voice. Do your research. challenge some of the things that you've been taught that maybe you didn't think twice about before, but just, make sure you know what your options are. Educate yourself so that you position yourself to be the person in authority when it comes to you, when it comes to your family, right? Because that's what Modern Mom Fix is all about, is creating a lifestyle for our entire families to thrive. And so when you put yourself in that position of authority by educating yourself and by seeing what other options are out there, right? Asking the questions that nobody else is asking, you're doing that. You're creating a lifestyle for your family to thrive because you are giving yourself that knowledge and then also passing it down, right, to your kids. So they don't have to start where you were, start in the same ignorant place that you were, meaning not knowing.
Right.
So, and when you teach them that at such a young age, it's just a part of them. Like, we won't get too deep into it because we're going a little bit over on time, but I know, Angel, you taught your baby girl sign language. She's completely vegan. So, that's what she knows. And as she grows older, that's what she's going to live by, because that's going to be all she knows. It's going to be her foundation at the very least.
Right.
So that's what we want to do as modern moms. We want to position ourselves as the person in authority by educating ourselves so we can create that lifestyle for our families to thrive. And thank you so much, Angel, for contributing to that today. And we appreciate everything that you have shared. And tell them again how they can find you. I know we said Facebook, Instagram. You got an email or anything else that they can get in contact with you by?
Yeah. On Facebook, it's the Divine Doula 88. You got to put the 88 for it to pop up.
Okay.
I'm Angel Whitehurst on Facebook, Angel Marie Whitehurst on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, same thing, Divine Doula 88. My email is thedivinedoula88@gmail.com. I kept it all the same, so it didn't be easy to find me. And my major message, to all moms, expecting moms, is remember that you're not asking, you're telling them. No more asking them, can I?
Yes.
This is what I want to do. Can you help me fulfill this? No, then I'm going to do it anyway. That's just what it is. You need to find people who are in your corner that want you to have the best, birth experience possible for you, because that is a part of a woman's journey that you will always remember the birth of your children. I don't care if you had 10, you're going to remember the weight, the everything about it. And it's your personal journey. And I don't feel like that we should let other people infringe their views on us and control what we do. So you're not asking, you're telling, and just find your voice and fight for yourself and for your baby.
Yeah, agreed. And let me just make sure really quick that we didn't miss any questions on Facebook. Any other comments? Let me just make sure. Aprianne says, hi. I think you know her, Angel. Aprianne Sutton Smith. And then Marquita said, Go ahead.
No, I said I went to undergrad with her at ECU.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, man.
And then Marquita said, joining in late, but oh my God, I can relate so much to this. She said, wow, that's beautiful. I think that's when you were talking about your home birth experience. And Darius is up here. He's shouting you out. He said, taking back the power. Come on, Darius. I know he was going to say something about that.
Right.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all again for joining. Thank you again, Angel. And we'll be talking soon. You already know. Y'all take care. Have a good day. Bye, good people.
Bye-bye.